YouTube. We are live. So let's get it going. Let's talk about Saturday's injury news. I'll give you all the updates that you need to know. There's really nothing that changes in terms of my rankings, honestly. Everything's pretty much the same. We have Justin Jefferson active. That's good news. We have Alexander Madison out as expected. So Ty Chandler would be the guy that you want in that backfield, but I don't know if you have to start him. The only Vikings I'm starting really would be Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson as like a lock. I have Chandler as a low end flex, and then I have Mullins as a top 20 quarterback, but not one that you need to start only in super flex. Would you consider him? But in Cincinnati, every Bengal that you count on is healthy. I mean, obviously not Joe Burrow, but we've known that for a few weeks now. So you're starting Jamar Chase, you're starting Joe Mixon, and I actually think Jake Browning has earned legit consideration. I do have him as a top 15 quarterback this week. In Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor is out yet again. That's what we expected. So Pittman, I am definitely starting him. I do have Zach Moss as a flex play. We'll see about him, but depends on who your other options are. And then in Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett is out. That's what we expected. The only Steeler I think you have to start would be Deontay Johnson. I have him as a flex play, though. He's top 30, and I think the running backs are a little bit hard to fully trust, to be honest with you. Not super excited about that committee with Trubisky under center. But in Detroit, the evening game, Josh Reynolds is questionable, but he is expected to play. I don't think anyone's really starting him, though. So that's interesting there. But you're starting Amon-Ra St. Brown for sure. A little worried about the Surtain coverage, but I think you have to start him. You're also starting Laporta. Really good matchup for Laporta. And then Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are RB2s this week for me. I think you are starting them, though. That's for sure. And then Goff is top 20 for me, but I don't think you have to start him, honestly. He's kind of a low-end option. I think the matchup is kind of scary, and those turnovers lately have been brutal. So Goff is top 20, only in Superflex would I need to do it. But lastly, in Denver, Greg Dulcich, the only somewhat injured player, still on IR and is out for this week. Maybe he'll be back next week. He is practicing, but not going to play this week. Troutman would be the tight end in Denver. But you're not starting Troutman. You're starting Javonte as a top 20 running back. You're starting Cortland Sutton as a top 20 or so wide receiver. And then Russ, I actually am considering streaming. He's a top 15 option for me this week. So that is the injury updates, and that's it for Saturday, those 3 games that we're looking at. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk the subscriber league. That's not what I want. This is what I want. Let's take a look at the subscriber league and that playoff picture. Real quick, we got a comment here. Looks like Patriot Politics Research says, took a gamble on Josh Palmer and woohoo, was nervous for a bit. Yeah, that was dicey for sure. But some garbage time points. You have that deep touchdown and over 100 yards from Palmer. Yeah, good start there. Palmer killed it. But okay, this is what I am looking at. We are taking a look at the playoff bracket and in the subscriber league. That was my matchup. But here is the playoff bracket. Boy, we had a very, very close one. As you can see, you needed 8 wins to secure a spot, and then it's 7 wins. Only one team got in with a tiebreaker, and that would be Brown and out. But let's take a look at the number 1 seed this week. Is on a bye in this 12-team format. Pasture Interferents. The manager, his name is Nathaniel Frederick. He is in the number 1 spot and gets a bye in week 15. So congratulations, Nathaniel. You are the best team at the moment. The only team to get 9 wins this season. So congrats to you, my friend. And very much looking forward to what happens this week. Interestingly, I don't feel like this lineup is completely done, but I understand the benching of Jamar Chase given the other options this team has. They've been rolling with Rashad White. Rashad White has been a fucking league winner lately. Kyron Williams as the RB2. I mean, he's technically the RB1 on this roster, in my opinion. And then DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, both top 10 receivers. Likely would be the tight end, but he does have Trey McBride on the bench. I don't think it matters because he doesn't have an opponent. But personally, I would go with Trey McBride because McBride's been killing it. As of late, the matchup is better on paper, though, for likely. But Bijan would be the flex. This team is loaded, and it's understandable why it's the number 1 seed. They got the Rams defense, who, let's see who they have next week for the Rams matchup. Is that set in stone? They got New Orleans, and they got Bengals at Pittsburgh. They also got the Falcons against the Colts in Week 16. This team has options they've loaded up on defenses for the playoffs. So that is smart. Justin Tucker's the kicker, and then the only player I'm a little concerned about, honestly, would be Tua, especially if Tyreek is down. That is a little scary, but it is what it is. I don't have to worry this week, and we'll see what happens next week. But just to take a look at their full schedule, I believe this was the highest score on the entire season back in Week 5. They put up 173 points in this league. About 120 is like an impressive score. Anything over 140 is like really, really elite. So really impressive. And this is the number 1 seed. Congrats to you getting that bye. They finished the season with 5 straight wins. Started off with 2 losses, then won 3 straight, another 2 losses, 1-1, and then 5 in a row to close it out. And that was pretty clutch. But let's take a look at the number 2 seed, another team with a bye. GoGo Bongzilla, who was the 2 seed last season as well. Another very, very good year for GoGo Bongzilla. The manager's name is Jason Hopkins, longtime subscriber of the channel. Congrats to you, Jason. We have Justin Fields as the quarterback on this team, pieced it together during the season with another quarterback. I forget who it was. Who was it a few weeks ago? Let's go back to like week 11. Week 10, they were rolling with Baker for a while. Baker was the fill-in and pieced it together. Very, very impressive. But what's the roster looking at the moment? They got Travis Etienne as their RB1. Etienne has been killing it this year. A lot of touchdowns for Etienne. And then Gibson is not typically the starter, but the handcuff to Brian Robinson. Very smart to have B-Rob handcuffed with Gibson. The running backs are pretty thin on this roster, honestly. Otherwise, they only have Dearness and Jerick McKinnon. So very, very clutch to own Gibson, given B-Rob is out. However, they are on bye. They don't technically need him this week. They do have Cortland Sutton, who's been on fire with 10 touchdowns this season. Cortland Sutton has been a huge, huge option. And then Rashee Rice recently exploded with like 10 targets a game last 3 weeks. Rashee Rice is killing it. George Kittle, a top 5 tight end. Looks like top 3 actually this season. And then Olave has been a little up and down, like not as consistent as we would have expected. There was a big slump in the middle of the year with like barely 10 points in only 1 out of 5 games, but has definitely turned it around. Otherwise, really consistent, and since the bye has really been a good option. So Olave at the flex, that's really nice. But Nico Collins has been a big part of this team. We'll see if that fucks him over in the playoffs if he really needs Nico. I don't think he does. I think he's got good options with Sutton and Rashee Rice. Hopefully no one gets hurt, and this running back situation takes care of itself. But then the Browns defense, along with the Ravens as a combo, that should be good in the playoffs. And then they do have Palmer, who they've been waiting on in the IR slot for a while. Did not start him. Really good game from Palmer this week. Got the bonus for over 100 yards. Noah Brown ain't doing shit since healthy, so that's kind of irrelevant there. I don't think anyone trusts Noah Brown right now. But then Dearness Johnson and Jerick McKinnon, as I mentioned, as the backup running backs. Brandon Aubrey, though. Brandon Aubrey feels like a league winner at the moment. The best kicker I think you could have. He hasn't missed on the year. And then last week he put up 22.5 points in this format. 4 for 4, 3 kicks over 50 yards last week. Aubrey is fucking dope as shit. Aubrey's a great option. If you have Aubrey, you are very happy. But before we get to seed number 3. Now we got another comment from Patriot Politics over here. DJ Moore better play the whole game, or I'm going to write a letter to the Bears. I think he will. I wouldn't worry about that. It's a pretty important game. There is actually some slim playoff hopes for Chicago. I think DJ Moore will be fine. But let's move on. Let's talk about team number 3. Who finished in third? If I'm correctly, GoatMODE. GoatMODE has been a subscriber of the channel for quite some time now. Gavin Haig is the owner of this team and has put together some really good trades. I made a trade with him back in week 13, I want to say, a few weeks ago for Derrick Henry. I gave up Derrick Henry and Zay Jones, and in return I got Michael Pittman and Javonte Williams. This team does not really need Javonte. I guess Javonte and Michael Pittman. I feel like he might regret not having Pittman, but Derrick Henry has put up 2 touchdowns in each of the last 3 games since we made this trade, so I don't think he regrets that decision at all to consolidate it all in one spot. Although, literally, Henry for Pittman, at least in this format, has been almost equal value with the 100-yard bonus for Pittman every single week. Honestly, the scores have been really close, so I feel like that trade was very fair, and while Zay Jones is not really part of this roster, Zay Jones, with no Christian Kirk, has been getting big targets lately. We'll see if it comes in clutch for him if one of his receivers goes down. But he has Dak Prescott as quarterback. Great option lately. Prescott's been killing it. He's got Barkley. He's got Kamara. And as I mentioned, he also has Derrick Henry. So that's why he did not need to hold on to Javonte Williams. He's also got Zach Moss on the bench and a bunch of receivers like Devontae Adams, who had a great game on Thursday. Very good game from Devontae. Did he go over 100 yards? Yes, he did. Hit the bonus with 23 points in this league. 8 for 101 and a touchdown. Devontae fucking killed it. But Jalen Waddle as well. Personally, I guess you got to start him, especially with Keenan Allen hurt. I probably would have gone Keenan Allen. He also made the trade for Keenan the same week he traded for Derrick Henry. Really good move. Who was the trade involving? He gave up Kyler Murray and DeAndre Swift in order to get Keenan, and it appears that Keenan won't be available at least this week in the playoffs. We'll see if it comes back to bite him. But I think Keenan probably doesn't come back, honestly. Like, I wouldn't do it. Like, at this point, the Chargers are tanking for the best draft pick. They fired their coach. There's no Herbert. Why would Keenan push it if he's dealing with a heel injury? He's already like broken like a 10,000 yard record for him. Like, yeah, I don't think Keenan's coming back. So he's gonna need to rely on Devontae and Waddle, in my opinion. I don't expect Keenan back on the field. But he's also got Deontay Johnson. That's not terrible. Cole Kmet, Jets defense, along with the Eagles defense. Boy, I'm a little worried about the Eagles this week. Honestly, I wouldn't love that, but don't think I'd start the Jets at Miami. Don't think I would be able to do that. Yeah, we'll see about that. But he's also got Darnell Mooney as a Bears fan. He's got multiple Bears on this roster, and then Zay Jones, as I mentioned, and Zach Moss round out the bench. He's got Evan Ingram as his tight end. Ingram's looking stellar the last 2 weeks with no Christian Kirk. Ingram is a freaking league winner at the moment, so that should be huge. And Jason Sanders is his kicker. That's not the best option, number 20 on the year. I don't know if I would swap out the kicker personally, but it's his team. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. But yeah, he is facing off against the number 6 seed this week, Brown and out. Let's take a look at this matchup. The current projected total is favoring GOATMODE by 7 points because Devontae had a great game with that 100-yard bonus. So he is projected to win. However, it is worth noting Brown and out is not your typical 6 seed. While he barely sneaked into the playoffs, he totally earned it with the most points on the season. Brown and out, one of my best friends, Angus McKay, is the owner of this team. And he has been on fire lately. He's made so many trades. Holy shit. He traded for Garrett Wilson. What was this trade? This happened in mid-September. He acquired Garrett Wilson and JSN, and he gave up Josh Palmer and Christian Kirk. At the time, I felt like that was maybe a decently fair trade, but not like a little bit skewed, honestly, in favor of the Garrett Wilson side. I like the JSN addition, but he actually dropped him just a few days later. So really just kind of Garrett Wilson straight up for Palmer and Christian Kirk. But yeah, that was very interesting. But definitely the Garrett Wilson acquisition paid off. He also has CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown, who he drafted. Really good options at the top two there. But it looks like he's starting Tyler Algier this week because Josh Jacobs is on IR. In his IR, he did not play on Thursday night, so he's probably a little bit skeptical about that. That's not the best position to be in. Good matchup for Algier, but yikes, not too excited to see that in the starting roster. But a really interesting trade that I will revisit in just a couple minutes. He got Tony Pollard straight up for the combo of Isaiah Pacheco and DeAndre Hopkins. He gave away Pacheco. Oh no, excuse me. He gave away Pacheco, and he got not only Pollard, but he also got DeAndre Hopkins in the trade. I felt like this trade was like so imbalanced in favor of the Pollard side. I felt like at the time you maybe could have justified Pollard for Pacheco straight up. Like Pollard had been on a big slide. This was late October. October 20th is when this trade went down. So that was like around week 8 or so. And Pollard was not doing well at that time. So I was kind of shocked that Hopkins was included in the trade, but the next week Hopkins went off for that 3 touchdown game, and it looked completely imbalanced. However, Pollard did struggle for a while, and it was like, maybe Pacheco is actually the better option. But recently, that trade has definitely looked very skewed in favor of this team. The Pollard side absolutely won that trade. And while he did give away Hopkins, I forget who he got in return. Oh, yeah. He traded for Josh Allen. He started the year off with Lamar Jackson as his quarterback, and he traded away Lamar, DeAndre Hopkins, and Jerome Ford in exchange for Josh Allen and Christian Kirk. Kirk was recently dropped because Kirk is on IR and not healthy at the moment. So really good trade. Getting Allen, who is the number 1 quarterback overall, has been decent. I feel like especially with 44 points a couple weeks ago, like that trade was definitely the right move. Really good acquisition. But surprisingly, this team is only 7-7. It started off pretty rough. This team started off with a 1-4 record to begin the season. And actually, this is one of the games. There were 2 close losses that I had that kept me out of the playoffs. I had 7 wins when it was all said and done. And this one was a critical one. I only got 5 points from Breece Hall and Derrick Henry back in week 3, and I lost by 10 points. That was the kicker that kept me out of the playoffs, in combination with one other close game that I had. I was really close to getting 8 wins, but I did not make the playoffs because Brown and Out had the tiebreaker. So congrats, Angus. You are the 6th seed, and pulling for you, bro. You need to make up a few points there in the projection. You are not projected to win this week, but really impressive trades, and hopefully Algier can pull it through for you. But overall, the roster has Josh Allen, Tony Pollard, had Josh Jacobs, but rolling with Algier this week. CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, TJ Hawkinson, A.J. Brown, the Dolphins defense against the Jets this week, and then Jake Moody is the kicker. On the bench, we got Zach Charbonnet, Elijah Mitchell, Gardner Minshew, Texans defense, Kenny Gainwell, Bears defense, Rico Dowdle. So planning ahead with the combo of the Texans defense and the Bears. Let's see. The Texans get Tennessee in week 17, Cleveland next week, and the Bears next week get Arizona, followed by Atlanta. We'll see what he does. But yeah, that's a bummer not to have Jacobs this week. Did not go with Zamir White. The budget was only $1 rest of the way. So that'll be interesting. But Yeah, he made the playoffs, and he's the number 6 seed. And then we'll talk about Team 4 and Team 5, and then I'll get to these questions. That'll probably be in like 5-10 minutes from now. So if you have a question, I see them in the chat, but I'll get to them in just a little bit. But Team 4 is Johnny Football, Jonathan Day, longtime subscriber of the channel. And he had the juggernaut for the majority of the season. This team was on fire to start the year. Started off 5-1 with only one loss back in week 2. I did beat this team back in week 2, but otherwise they were on fire. Then they had 3 straight L's week 7 through 9. I believe bye weeks were a big factor there. And then had 3 straight wins after that, but closed out the season with 2 terrible games, 2 L's. Last 2 weeks, this team has really kind of fallen apart. Really unfortunate, but they are in the playoffs. They did make it, and let's take a look at this roster, tell you the full picture. They did have Justin Herbert as their quarterback and started them the last 2 weeks. That was not good at all. Jordan Love is the backup. That's not a terrible backup to have, so good plan there. But Kenneth Walker did deal with injuries, so that was a big reason why he struggled mid-season. But Dave Montgomery has also been in and out of the lineup. This team went heavy on Detroit. Dave Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta have been key spots in this roster all season long, and that has definitely been a good combo to have. All top 15 at their positions overall, and really, really good games this year from St. Brown, Montgomery, and Laporta. They also have Diggs, and Diggs has been really terrible lately. Diggs has been brutal, so hoping that Diggs can turn it around, but you got to start him. There's no way you're benching Stephon Diggs. Does have Najee Harris, who I believe he traded for. I don't think he drafted Najee Harris. Yeah, he traded Gus Edwards? Yes, he traded Gus Edwards in exchange for Najee. And that may have not looked like the best trade in hindsight. There was that stretch where Gus was like fucking amazing. At the moment, though, I think you'd rather have Najee at this exact moment in time. I think it has fell back in favor of Najee over Gus. Gus has definitely fallen behind Keaton Mitchell, at least last week. That's what it looked like. So Najee is in the flex. We got the Niners defense. That's definitely a good one to have. And then Tyler Bass is the kicker. This is a good team. This is a really good team, and it's been a bit shocking that it's been so bad the last 2 weeks. Like, last week, he only put up 49 points. Like, holy shit, let's just take a look at that matchup, because, like, that's insane. Like, this team is really good on paper, but got nothing from Herbert. He went down early. Kenneth Walker with 7 points. Montgomery with 10. Diggs with 4.4. The worst game of the year for St. Brown, 3.6. Laporta, 3.7. He started Dow's for 5.2. The Niners defense was almost his best player on the week. And then Harrison Butker with 5. Yeah, I guess that does not amount to 50. So, yeah, very shocking. But Johnny Football is in the playoff picture, the number 4 seed, and good luck to you this week. Let's take a look at the matchup between him and Hertz Almighty, the number 5 seed. This team also kept me out of the playoffs. There was one matchup just a couple, maybe 3 weeks ago, that was within 6 points, and it was because Hertz went off in overtime. It was his 5-touchdown game, and that rushing touchdown in overtime sealed it. I lost by about 6 points, and that put him over the margin of victory. So Hertz Almighty and Brown and Out are the reasons I did not make the playoffs. I had 2 really close games, and that L is a big reason why I am not in the playoffs. But kudos to you, Hertz Almighty. Team owner is Ethan Annabelle, and his team is Jalen Hurts at quarterback going up against Seattle. I mean, definitely Hurts is an elite option. He's got Eckler, who had a bit of a dud on Thursday, only 5.8 points, but I don't think you could have benched Eckler. I mean, aside from him, he has James Conner and literally no other running back other than Dameon Pierce. So yeah, this team was definitely starting Eckler, that's for sure. Does have Zeke, and Zeke has fallen into a massive role lately, so that's huge. Zeke could be clutch. And then he has DK Metcalf. That could turn into a huge game. Great matchup against Philly this week. T. Higgins has been brutal this season. T. Higgins was terrible. But Terry McLaurin is in the starting lineup this week. We'll see what happens there. Terry does scare me. Terry has like no touchdown upside. Terry's been fucking shit lately. Like, look at these points. A bagel, 7, 6.8, 5.3, 9.8. Last 5 games, Terry has been shit. So I worry about that a little bit. Just a floor play. Does have Kelsey, though. That's nice. Best tight end in the game. Kelsey should go off against the Patriots, but then is starting James Conner in the flex. A little worried about the Niners matchup, but you got to do what you got to do. Colts at Pittsburgh this week. I think that's a good spot. I would probably go with the Cowboys, honestly. I think there's a little higher upside with the Cowboys, but definitely a better matchup on paper for the Colts. I understand that start decision. I think I have them back-to-back at like 5 and 6, but I do have the Cowboys one spot higher. Anyways, and then recently picked up Lucas Havrisik, the Rams kicker. We'll see how that goes. But as I mentioned, on the bench, you got T. Higgins, has no starting value this year, been absolutely shit. Gabe Davis, can't risk a bagel this week. I get it. There's high upside, but yeah, just can't fucking risk it. Gabe has been shit lately. And the Cowboys defense has been rolling for him, but interestingly is going to bench him, apparently. And then Christian Watson recently went down. That's a bummer. Watson was a huge part of this roster for sure. Russell Wilson, the backup quarterback. That's not a terrible option either. And then David Njoku. Honestly, I think I might go Njoku over James Conner personally in the flex. That's just my own opinion. I could be wrong about that, but I definitely consider it. I'm worried about Conner for sure. And then lastly, Dameon Pierce, who's been fucking atrocious this season. Terrible numbers from Pierce. So really top heavy. I think some injuries have definitely hurt this team. Were there any trades? I feel like the only person they might have traded for would maybe have been David Njoku. Did they draft David Njoku? No, David Njoku's just been dropped a ton. Yeah, David Njoku's been dropped like crazy. But okay, so those are the playoff teams. Let's just remind you of what it's looking like. We have where are the buys? Show me the bracket. Okay, we have Pasture Interferents as the number 1 seed, the only team to go 9-5 in this league. Very competitive league this year. Number 2, we have GoGo Bongzilla at 8-6. Got the tiebreaker. Let's see. In terms of points scored, what was the margin here? GoGo Bongzilla, all 2 through 5, all had 8 wins. And only 2 points. Only 2 points was the difference between GoGo Bongzilla as the number 2 seed with a bye and GOATMODE having to earn his way to week 16. Really, really clutch from GoGo Bongzilla. 2 points is a really slim margin. Holy shit. But GOATMODE at number 3 with a decent lead over the next 2 teams in terms of points by about 30 points here over the number 4 seed, Johnny Football. And then Hertz Almighty with about 50 points less squeaks in at number 5 with 8 wins on the season. And Browning out with the most points on the entire league gets that number 6 seed tiebreaker at 1,697, almost 1,700 points this season. And I just want to bring up one thing, because if you don't think that this game has karma to it, let me show you the number 7 seed, Salisbury Suicide, Eduardo Corocchio. Last week was very unfortunate for Eduardo because he had no dollars in his free agent budget. He spent all of his fab, so he ended up having to. So he had to start Taysom Hill, who put up a bagel at tight end. He had Logan Thomas on bye, so that really didn't help him. However, he lost because DeAndre Hopkins went off, and DeAndre Hopkins has been traded multiple times in this league. Guess who drafted him? Salisbury Suicide back in August drafted DeAndre Hopkins. But as I mentioned, that trade for Isaiah Pacheco that included Tony Pollard and Hopkins was what ultimately bit him in the ass. Like, no offense if you're watching, man, but like, this is karma at its pure best. Like, you overspent to get rid of Pacheco. You completely dismissed Pollard and just threw in Hopkins. Could have made this trade without Hopkins included. I think straight up Pollard for Pacheco would have gone through, but got rid of Hopkins. And then 2 weeks later, I guess maybe 3 weeks later, Hopkins was traded to Internally Screaming, the team that started off like 0-3 and changed their name. They were very upset. Matt Barrero had a rough start to the season, but then pieced it together, finished with 6 wins. Impressive close to the year from Internally Screaming. But traded and acquired DeAndre Hopkins. And in week 14, Hopkins was the reason why Salisbury lost. Like, you couldn't have written it up any better. And if they had won, they were projected to win, like going into Monday night by a wide margin. But Mostert had a good game. Hopkins went off, and then even Okonkwo filled in as well with 7 points. That was huge for Internally Screaming. So that's why Salisbury did not make the playoffs. They were looking like they would have 8 wins, but they did not. And that opened the door for the tiebreakers, where 7 wins got in at number 6. And they did not have the points tiebreaker. They had about 100 less than Brown and Out. They qualified as a top 6 team in terms of points on the season, but at 7-7, just wasn't enough. Got eliminated as the 7 seed to Brown and Out. So some terrible karma for Salisbury. Should not have given up DeAndre Hopkins. At the end of the day, that was what cost him the playoff spot. So those are the 6 teams in the playoff picture: Pasture Interference, GoGo Bongzilla, Goat Mode, Johnny Football, Hertz Almighty, and Brown and Out. And congrats to you guys for making the playoffs. I did finish 7-7, but I finished with very low points. I had some terrible games. Let me just show you what my record was, because you might be wondering what my team is looking like. I got decimated by injuries. I don't want to make an excuse or anything, but holy shit, I had really bad injury luck this year. I had Cooper Kupp on IR to start the season. In week 3, I lost Mike Williams. Then I lost Kirk Cousins, which cratered my Jordan Addison stack. Addison was really killing it for me, so that was terrible. And then I lost Goddard as well a few weeks ago, and boy, I have had really, really bad luck. 4 really good starters just completely lost. I feel like Addison basically got hurt with Kirk Cousins. That one was terrible. He was a top 10 wide receiver when Kirk Cousins went down. He's been shit with Dobbs. So let me just take you through my schedule real quick. Started off the year bad, but I was built for the end of the year with Breece Hall, and then with Cooper Kupp not doing well. I started off 1-3. I had some really bad games. When I won, I had like really good games. Like I won with 130 points one week. I won with 159, 123. And then last week I won with 140. But when I lost, I was really bad. I had like 3-4 games with less than 80 points. I had some really big stinkers. It was really boom bust with this roster. And that was pretty brutal. In week 12, this was the game that kept me out of the playoffs. This one fucking really, really unfortunate. I lost by 6 points. 5.95 was the margin of victory in this game, and it's because Jalen Hurts put up that overtime touchdown. Like I was mentioning, that one was unfortunate, but in terms of total points, I guess I didn't really deserve to win, given I didn't even put up 1,500 on the season. So everything worked out how it should have. I shouldn't have made the playoffs. I kind of like resigned to missing a few weeks ago already, but I did start off 1-3, and then I won 4 straight. I went to 5-3. I was like in 3rd place at one point, and then I lost 4 straight after that, and that was just the nail in the coffin at that point. 5-7 was pretty much it for me, and then I did close out with two straight wins. I had a good game last week, but it was just not enough. I did not get the tiebreaker. I did beat Brown and Out last week, 140-108, and finally everyone went off. I finally realized the potential of my roster. I had Purdy with 25, Breece with 22, Javonte with 16, Kupp 24, Pittman 15, Goddard gave me 5 points, and then Jaden Reed gave me 16. I actually benched Drake London. I could have had 150 points on the week if I went with London over Jaden Reed, but I did not, and that's what happened. And that's my team. I did trade away Derrick Henry recently and got Pittman and Javonte in return, but it was not enough. I did not make the playoffs. So that's it for this subscriber league preview. And if you've been watching this whole time, thank you very much. Hope you hit that like button and subscribed as well. But let's finally answer these questions. I told you I'd be waiting till the end to answer these questions, but yeah, let's get to it in terms of your questions. But let me make sure they come up on the screen. Okay. So rock out. If you're still watching, you're asking one running back flex Javonte Walker, Keaton Mitchell, or McLaurin. I'm gonna go with Javonte. I would trust Javonte overall. The Lions can't really stop anyone lately, and I think Javonte is my highest ranked running back overall. Let me just check my rankings on the side real quick just to confirm that that's actually who I'm going with. Yes, I have Javonte at number 18. I have Walker at 22. And then I do not trust Keaton Mitchell at the moment. Definitely not as much volume than Javonte. And then McLaurin has had a really low ceiling lately. I'm not going with McLaurin. I'm going with Javonte Williams over Kenneth Walker this week. Good luck to you. Rock out. But Akshay Shah is asking, start one running back, two wide receivers, one tight end, one flex. Okay. We got Zach Moss, Montgomery, Olave, Cup, Garrett Wilson, Trey McBride, and Hawkinson. At running back, I'm going with Montgomery. I do not trust Zach Moss completely at the moment, and I think Montgomery is way more likely to score a touchdown. The matchup isn't amazing against Denver, but I definitely trust Montgomery more than I trust Zach Moss at the moment. Moss is not getting touchdowns, even with no Jonathan Taylor. So the volume might be more for Moss, but I trust Montgomery's floor way more. And then two receivers, I'm definitely going with Cooper Kupp, and then I'm going to go with Olave over Garrett Wilson. I think with Zach Wilson under center, the touchdown upside is just not really there for Garrett Wilson, and Olave has been really good lately. Even though last week was kind of down in terms of yards, he did find the end zone, and he's pretty much a safe bet to do that in the Saints offense. So I would go Kupp and Olave as your two receivers. And then at tight end, I'm still going to go Hawkinson. The matchup is really good against the Bengals. And even though the quarterback is a bit up in the air in terms of how much you trust him with Mullins, I would still expect 8+ targets for Hawkinson. And that's what McBride is giving you, but Hawkinson has a way better matchup this week. The Bengals give up an average of 80+ yards to tight ends per game. So I would go Hawkinson at tight end. But then your flex would be between Garrett Wilson and Trey McBride. That's a good one. I think I'd go McBride. I think I might go McBride. There's so many targets though for Garrett Wilson. Nah, I think I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I would go Garrett Wilson. I think there's a little more touchdown upside for Garrett Wilson. I know it's low, but Wilson's getting like 12 targets a game with Zach Wilson at quarterback. McBride is getting about 8 or 9, and that's just more volume for Wilson. I trust Wilson. His floor is a little bit higher. I would go Garrett Wilson at flex. So you're benching Zach Moss and Trey McBride in this situation, but you're starting Montgomery, Kupp, Olave, and Garrett Wilson at the flex. Good luck, Akshay, this week. But Jelly of the Month is asking, half PPR wait to see if A-Chain plays Sunday or play Ty Chandler on Saturday could pivot to Keaton Mitchell or Kincaid. The fact that you could pivot to Kincaid is not terrible, but I don't love it. I would probably just wait for A-Chain. I don't expect A-Chain to miss. I don't think that's going to happen. Let me make sure. I have not looked at Miami's injury report yet, but let me take a look. A-Chain is questionable, but he still has a projection. And while he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday, he was limited on Friday. So I think he's fine. I think he will play. The toe injury is a little concerning, but the fact that he was limited on Friday is a good sign. I think I'd probably just go with A-Chain. I don't feel great about Chandler, honestly. And I think Chandler versus Kincaid is a similar situation. I think Kincaid has a similar floor to Chandler, but maybe more touchdown upside as well. The ceiling is kind of interesting. Whereas Keaton Mitchell is a bit of a boom bust option. I think he has higher upside than Chandler. Not as high of a floor, not as much usage as Chandler's going to get, but I think Keaton Mitchell actually has higher upside than Chandler. So I wouldn't feel terrible having to pivot to one of Mitchell or Kincaid. If I was just shooting for the fence, if I was just trying to get the highest upside possible, I think I'd go Keaton Mitchell. Kincaid has been a little brutal in terms of yards lately, so I would not start Chandler tomorrow. I would go hoping to start A-Chain for sure. But if I don't get him, I think I might go with Keaton Mitchell for the upside and then Kincaid for the floor. Your choice. I'd probably go with Kincaid, just because it feels a little safer in terms of volume, especially in half PPR. Mitchell doesn't really catch passes, so yeah, hoping for A-Chain. I would not start Ty Chandler. Good luck, jelly of the month. But Pete A is asking, greetings, Rams defense ranking. They are not top 20 for me, my friend. I do not have them top 20. Let's see where I have them. I have the Rams against the Commanders. I mean, maybe they're a good spot, but I feel like the Commanders off a bye are gonna compete. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. The Rams don't have like an elite defense at the end of the day. I have the Rams at number 24, so they missed the top 20, and I would not start them personally. Maybe I'm wrong, but other than Aaron Donald, who do they have on defense that you trust? Like, they're not a team that's built to win by defense. They're built to win by shootout. And I could easily see Sam Howell putting up 25 points, 20 plus, more than 3 touchdowns on the Rams. So I don't think they're like an elite start. I would not start the Rams, honestly. I have them at number 24. So yeah, there's a lot of good defenses, and I don't think the Rams are top 20 this week. So I did not rank them top 20. Patriot Politics Research back here in the chat asking, oh boy, we're getting a bunch of questions now. Justin Fields or Matthew Stafford, PPR and standard, much appreciated, brother. I think I'd still go Justin Fields. The rushing floor is really safe. The upside with Stafford, though, is really, really nice. In PPR and standard, I mean, it's irrelevant. Quarterbacks don't catch passes, so I don't think that matters. If you have like a format that gives you 6 points for passing touchdowns, then I definitely go Stafford. If you have any type of rushing bonus for 100 yards, I'd completely go Fields. But it's a good question, honestly. It's a really good question. I wouldn't blame you for going Stafford, but I think I'd probably stick with Fields personally. I think Fields is a safer bet. Stafford could always fuck up. He could always blunder and get back to like just one touchdown. But he has been amazing lately, and the matchup is top 4, if not top 2, against the Commanders. It's a really good matchup for Stafford. So if you wanted to pivot to Stafford, he's my favorite streamer this week. He's not bad at all. But I think I'd probably still stick with Fields. I think from a stud standpoint, he got you here. And I guess technically maybe he didn't, given all the time that he missed. It's possible that you've been relying on other options. So I understand. Against Cleveland, it's not the best matchup. I think if you wanted like more of a safety net with equally high upside, I think I'd probably go Stafford. But I think the highest upside overall would be Fields. Fields could give you 30, 35, and I wouldn't be like totally shocked. They are fighting for their playoff life, and Fields looks decent lately. I'd still probably stick with Fields, but it's close. It's really close. Stafford is definitely top 10 this week. Wouldn't hate it for going Stafford. I think that's a decent option. So good luck there. But Hurts or Stafford, I'm still gonna go Hurts. Yeah, I'm still gonna go Jalen Hurts. That I can't do. I don't think I can bench Jalen Hurts in the playoffs. But Stafford's really interesting this week. Stafford has elite upside for sure. But I think he maxes out at like 2023, whereas Hurts can give you 35. That rushing upside with both him and Fields is more intriguing and a higher upside overall. Like, they could easily go over 25. So that's why I think I'm still going to go with Hurts and Fields over Stafford. But it's very tempting. If I was going to bench one, it would be Fields, not Hurts. I'm not benching Hurts this week. No fucking way. But you're also asking, Squeaky Wheel Terry McLaurin might have some great garbage time. Maybe. The matchup is actually top 10. It's possible. But he's been so bad lately. I don't trust him right now. I don't feel good about him. But Sam Williams says, hi, Adam. What do you think the best defenses are week 16 and 17? I have to pull that up. The Broncos are going to be great. They get the Patriots. I got to look at the schedule. I don't have that like memorized. The Broncos are going to be really good. I think the Bills are going to be good against the Chargers. I think the Bengals are going to be good against the Steelers. The Colts might be decent against the Falcons. Other than that, I think the Commanders are a little interesting against the Jets, but their defense isn't that talented. I probably wouldn't roll with the Commanders, but the Jets matchup is good. The Packers at Carolina, that's a good one. Other than that, I don't feel too good about them. The Broncos against the Patriots, that's going to be one of the best ones for sure. And then the Chiefs against Las Vegas, that's not bad. The Eagles against the Giants is kind of interesting. And then that's about it. I think the Broncos would be the best overall, 100%. I like the Broncos a lot. And then in week 17, we have Cleveland against New York, against the Jets. That's a good one. Then you got the Bills against the Patriots. So the Bills have two good matchups leading up. The Broncos, again, get the Chargers. So the Broncos are going to be really good. Yeah, the Broncos are possibly a league-winning defense in 16-17. But we have Chicago against Atlanta. That's not terrible. The Colts against Las Vegas, not terrible either. The Eagles against Arizona doesn't look atrocious. The Saints and Bucks game, probably good defenses there. The Jags against Carolina, that's a good one. The Niners against Washington, that's a good one. Tennessee and Houston, another matchup between them, so that's not bad. And then Seattle and Pittsburgh, that's a little interesting. But I think Denver's the one you want. The Broncos, if you can have them for week 16, 17, I think they have the best schedule. If the Patriots, then the Chargers, that's going to be really, really nice for the Broncos. But Big M is asking, hey, brother, full PPR, who do I start at running back at RB2? Gibson, James Cook, or A-Chain? In full PPR, I think Gibson is really interesting, but I think I got to go with James Cook. James Cook is over 100 yards in 4 straight games. They're using him like crazy. And while the Cowboys do scare you a little bit, they're going to be in a shootout most likely. And I think there is some really high upside with James Cook. Really high floor as well. The safe floor is really there for James Cook. So I would go James Cook. I think the toe injury with A-Chain is a little concerning. The volume might not be there. I think Mostert's the one you want. And then Gibson might get 25 touches, and 5 of them might be receptions, if not like 7+. But I don't think he scores a touchdown. That's where I worry about Gibson. So Gibson has a really high floor. In full PPR, he's a great start this week, but I think James Cook has the highest upside. I would still probably go James Cook. Very tempting to go Gibson, though. Very, very tempting. But still going to go James Cook. You're also asking, how do you feel about Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase rest of the season? I mean, Jefferson, if he played a full game, I think he would have been back to his elite self. I'm definitely not worried about Jefferson. Jamar has a slight ankle injury, and his snaps were a bit limited as well. So that's a little bit concerning. I think Jamar is still top 15, though. I don't think you're benching either of them. I'd prefer to have Jamar Chase, though. I think Chase is top 5, and even with Mullins, I still trust him. I can't bench him. Jamar's healthy, so we're not worried about that. He practiced in full on Thursday, so that's really good. But I think the usage is a little bit more up and down with Browning, and I think he's more of like a wide receiver 2, more like top 20, barely top 15 with Jamar Chase. I definitely prefer Jefferson, but I'm starting both of them. I don't think you can bench either of them at this point. But Akshay is asking, why do you not trust Zach Moss? I feel like he is bound to produce in PPR with all the touches he gets, and I feel like I should start him. I can bring up the numbers. Yeah, I explained more in my rankings, but I'll just bring it up real quick for you here. Okay, so this week the matchup is bottom 10. The Steelers only give up 94 rushing yards per game in the last 5, so not a good matchup for Moss at all. And in 2 games as the starter, while Moss is seeing 19 touches per game, that's a lot. Only 3 receptions, you would kind of feel like it might be more as the RB1. So not like elite PPR value. It's decent, but it's not terrible. But he's only turning those 19 touches into 57 yards. Like that's barely 3 per touch. Like that's literally 3 per touch. And with no touchdowns at all, He's only averaging 7.2 points in the last 2 games. So not good usage, not good production. The matchup is really bad. I don't think he goes over 100 yards rushing at all this week. So you're just hoping for a touchdown with him. That's why I only have him as a low end flex play. I have him at number 25. He's fine, but I'm probably going to lower him below Antonio Gibson, honestly. I think I'd rather go with Gibson personally in this same matchup because Gibson is also in the same spot but gets more targets and receptions. So Moss is just really touchdown dependent. That's why I don't trust him. He's not producing good numbers as the RB1 anymore. 3 yards per touch is terrible. So that's why I don't like him. That's the reason. Rock Out is asking, do you play Dallas defense, the better team, or Colts defense, the better matchup versus Pittsburgh? Yeah, I mentioned this with one of the subscriber league teams. They have the 2 of them as well, and they're actually going with the Colts. But personally, I would still roll with the Cowboys. I think the Josh Allen Bills matchup, while it is scary on paper, Josh Allen turns it over a lot. He throws a lot of interceptions, and I could easily see a pick 6 for Deron Bland in this game. I think there will be the turnovers, to justify starting the Cowboys. They have so much upside, and while they might give up 30 points, I think their upside is just too high to avoid. I got the Colts at number 7. I got the Cowboys at number 4. The Cowboys are number 1 on the year, and the Colts should have played better against the Bengals last week. They did not. So the Colts had a bit of a hot streak, but even though the Steelers don't scare you, the Steelers have extra rest, and they were embarrassed by the Patriots. I think they will play better, and that's why on paper it's definitely the better match against the Steelers for the Colts. But I think I just trust the talent of the Cowboys, and they do have that pick 6 upside like no other team. I would personally still go with the Cowboys. Who got you to this point? I'd roll them out there. I'd go with the Dallas defense if it was me. But I don't have either defense on any of my rosters, so I'm not actually in that position to make the start sit decision. But just based on my rankings, I would go Cowboys. I have more faith in their upside. But Akshay is also asking, I currently am starting Lamar, Montgomery, Bijan, Cup, Garrett Wilson, Hawkinson, Zach Moss, Haversick Falcons defense, bench Olave, McBride. Thoughts on the lineup and chances to win, what changes? Okay, so I would go Olave over Garrett Wilson. That's where I think I don't fully understand your logic. The Saints get the Giants this week. The Giants are a really good matchup, and Olave is healthy. I'm pretty sure he's healthy. I think he's questionable right now, but I think he will play. Yeah, Olave, he did not practice Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, yeah, he's a game time decision. It will go to the wire. Okay, so yeah, I guess I understand. But personally, if you told me he plays, it's an early kickoff, so we'll definitely know the status before you have to plug in Garrett Wilson. I would go Olave. I still trust Olave. But the ankle injury, I guess, is a bit concerning. The game time decision, not ideal. But the floor is high with Wilson, but I think the upside is higher with Olave. The matchup is definitely better as well. I would go Olave if he plays. That's my only change. I'm definitely going Hawkinson over McBride. The matchup is better for Hawkinson. But let me just read this entire thing again. There's so many players, it's easy to kind of like forget. Okay, you have Zach Moss in your lineup as well. So, okay, while I would go Olave over Garrett Wilson, I would go Garrett Wilson over Zach Moss. Like I was mentioning, I don't feel great about Moss. Moss is really touchdown dependent. I think there's higher usage, higher volume, higher floor for Garrett Wilson, and much more passing volume as well. So the player I'd be benching would be Moss for Olave. But given Moss plays tomorrow, that's a bit concerning. But to be honest with you, I think I even trust McBride over Zach Moss. McBride is averaging like 11 plus points per game, even without the touchdown. McBride gets great volume. I would bench Zach Moss. That's what I would do. I would bench Zach Moss. I'd hope for Olave. And then if Olave gets ruled out, I would pivot to Trey McBride in the afternoon. So, yeah, I'd be benching Zach Moss. I don't feel good about Zach Moss. That's the only change I would do. But good roster overall, especially with Cup playing well lately. You feel good about that. I love Lamar this week. Falcons get a good matchup against the Panthers. And then your kicker's not bad either. So, yeah, you got a decent chance. I don't know what your opponent has, but I'd feel good. I'd just be benching Zach Moss. Personally, that's what I would do. Great Went has Puka, Rice, Lockett, AJ Brown, Pittman. Need 2 wide receivers in a flex, full PPR. Need best floor. Okay, well, when it comes to floor, you're definitely starting Pittman, 100%. Pittman is getting massive volume, like 12 targets per game. And then I don't think I can bench AJ Brown. I really don't think I can. So I would be going AJ Brown and Pittman. I know you're asking for the floor, but the ceiling is just so high with Brown. And against Seattle, they should bounce back. He should be fine. In the playoffs, I expect a touchdown for AJ Brown this week. So give me Brown and Pittman. And then in terms of floor, I think Rashee Rice has the highest floor. I love the matchup for Puka. Really, really high upside. But there's more targets going towards Rashee Rice at this point, and there's higher touchdown odds as well for Rashee. So in terms of floor, I think you're getting 10 targets for Rashee Rice. You're getting 8 for Puka Nacua. I would go with Rashee over Puka. The matchup's great for Lockett, but in terms of floor, I don't think it's as high. So I'd be going AJ Brown, Michael Pittman, and Rashee Rice for your 2 receivers and flex and full PPR. I'd be very tempted to start Puka, but I can't bench Brown and I can't bench Pittman. So I'd be going Rice over Puka. I think there's just a few more targets for Rashee Rice this week. So good luck to you. Very interested about Puka over Rice, but I think I'd go Rice. Yeah. Big M, how do you feel about the Titans' defense against the Texans with the whole team pretty much hurt? I think they're a good start. I think I have them. Where do I have them? I have them number 2. So as long as CJ Stroud doesn't play, I'm going to hold on that. If Davis Mills is the quarterback, he's my lowest ranked quarterback this week. I think the Titans are a great start this week. Absolutely very good floor. I think they're going to be great. I think they're top 5. Really safe. Really good. Great Scott is asking, hey, how's it going? Start 2 full PPR. Rachaad White, Devontae, Zeke, Brees, Amari Cooper. Thank you. Okay, so you can't bench Rachaad White. Rachaad White's playing so good lately. I think I have to go with Rachaad White. But then it's really close for me between Devontae Smith and Ezekiel Elliott. I think you have a higher touchdown upside, though, with Devontae Smith. So I think I'd be going Devontae. In full PPR, you're getting like 10 targets for Devontae, and I don't think Zeke is going to go over 100 yards like he did last week against Pittsburgh. The Chiefs matchup is definitely tougher. So I have both of them top 12, but I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. I have Zeke at 11, but Devontae at number 12. And in this type of a close call, I'd be favoring the wide receiver over running back in full PPR. So I'm going to go with Devontae Smith and Rachaad White. You only need 2. I would love to get Zeke in this lineup somehow, but if you can't fit him in, I get it. There is some bust potential at the end of the day against the Chiefs, but there's no bust potential at all with Rachaad. He's been so good, 100+ yards every week, and a touchdown is almost guaranteed at this point. I'm going with Rachaad White and Devontae Smith. I like Brees' upside, but I don't think I like him as much as Zeke this week, honestly. And I would prefer Zeke, but I'm benching him for Devontae Smith. So, yeah, that's my view. I'm going Rachaad and Devontae, and then I would go Zeke. Then I would go Brees, and lastly, I would have Amari in this option here. But we got a few more questions, and we'll try and hammer this out and get to it. But Big M is asking, I'd go Rachaad and Devontae for that spot. Yeah, Great Scott is asking the chat as well. And then Big M is asking, do you think Austin Eckler gets better with the firing? No. I think if anything, they might bench Eckler a little bit more, see what they have in Spiller, because I think they're going to move on from Eckler this year. Eckler's not under contract next season, and I think they need to see what they have in Spiller. And if they don't have anything good, then they might need to draft a running back. So I don't feel good about Eckler. And with the quarterback situation like that, going to be shit. They get the Broncos next week, bad matchup, and then they get the Bills. No, they get the Bills next week, then the Broncos, and then they get the Chiefs. Yeah, I don't feel good about Eckler. Very touchdown dependent. Barely top 20. Not going to be top 10 rest of the season. Not at all. Great Scott says, appreciate it, Big M. Great Went says, thanks for confirming my thoughts. You rock. You're welcome, pal. Great Scott says, thank you. And then Sam Williams says, thanks for the defense tip. I just grabbed the Broncos. Yeah, the Broncos have a great schedule the last 2 weeks. So that's it for the questions. And if you're still watching and you haven't, hit that like button. And as well, if I believe I only have subscribers who can ask questions at the moment. But if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button as well. And that's going to be it for this video. So I'll put the timestamps for the subscriber league breakdown and everything. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you have a good one. And I will see you tomorrow with injury updates. Enjoy your weekend, and I hope you win in Week 15. Good luck. Hope we all advance to Week 16. But that's it for me. My name's Adam Riancho, and thank you for watching. Nice and blunt. Bye.